Hello Aquarius, welcome to your reading. This is Bright Soul Collective Tarot, and this will be your intuitive insights and advice for the month of February 2022. This reading will be for Aquarius Sun, Moon, and Rising, and as always, the reading will be general in nature, so not all of the messages that come through will necessarily apply to your situation specifically, so I do highly recommend you take anything and everything that resonates with you. Keep an open mind to the information that comes through and be willing to take anything with you into the month of February that you feel like might be beneficial. And that being said, you can watch this video at any time during the month, and this energy can apply. So whatever time you ended up watching this, it's never too late to connect with these energies that come through. But yeah, Aquarius, I hope you're doing well and that your year is off to a great start. We are in Aquarius season, so this is your time. I hope you guys are all having a great birthday season and, celebrating. I'm wishing you all a huge happy birthday, and I'm so excited for your reading. Really hoping that we can connect you with some messages of empowerment to help you connect more deeply, not only with yourself, but the world around you, and to feel prepared to make the most of the energy that February has to offer. So as you can see, I've got your 3 oracle cards here already. I shuffled them off camera, and these were the ones that jumped out for you. I've also took a moment before I started this video to just sit quietly and channel some information. So I will share that with you. Then we'll do a read of your oracle cards. We'll pull some tarot and some clarifiers, and we will finish off with some affirmations to tie everything together. And also, please excuse me, I woke up this morning with like a bit of a hoarse voice, so my voice is a little bit off, so yeah, hopefully that's not too much of an issue. But okay, let's get started. And so Aquarius, I must say, I was planning on reading for you today, and a lot of the time I start to channel information like in advance if I'm not reading immediately. And a lot of the time that information will come to me as I'm laying in bed right before I fall asleep, or like sometimes in dreams, as well as when I sit down intentionally to channel. And it was funny, like the thing that came to me last night was the idea of working in or living in the hospital. And so I don't know, maybe the hospital is a significant place for you. Maybe you work in the hospital. Maybe someone close to you works in the hospital. Maybe you are like a first responder, or like maybe there's something about your job that has you going into the hospital on a regular basis. Or it could just be, maybe somebody who is in the hospital that you visit on a regular basis. The other thing that I kind of got in relation to this was like almost like a joke. Like maybe if you don't actually work at the hospital, the joke is that you're there so often, or you spend so much time there for one reason or another, that you might as well live there, or that you might as well get a job because you're basically there all the time. So that's kind of like a joke that I thought was like a little funny. So yeah, so whatever significance that has to you, if any. And then as I started actually sitting down this morning to channel messages, the first thing that came through was like a beach, or on a beach. So I don't know if you are maybe a beach person, maybe a water person, maybe that is like a really important part of, well, it's obviously winter right now. Maybe you still visit the beach in the winter. I don't know. Maybe you go there to like hang out. But I kind of get the sense that, going to the beach might be something that's important to you. It might be something you do regularly. Maybe you live close to the beach. Maybe you're thinking about going on a beach vacation. I don't know. But I get the sense that that is like an important thing, or like landmark for you. And then the next thing that came to me is something good is coming. And so I don't know if maybe you're feeling like excited. Maybe you're feeling like, life is kind of picking up. Things are getting excited. You're looking forward to the future. You've got things in motion that are starting to kind of show promise, and you're excited to see where they go. Or maybe it's just a very general sense of like, the future is going to be good, and you're feeling like you can't wait for things to start materializing. But it was like a very uplifting energy. Or maybe you're just trying to get into that energy. And then the next thing, I think it was probably related to this, but it's like I can feel it in my bones. That's not something that I ever really say or think. So Maybe that's not something that you actively say either, but maybe there's just this really maybe there's this really intense sensation that, something good is coming, or you're looking forward to the future. And it's not just in your mind. It's not just in a daydreamy way. It's like you can kind of like feel it intuitively. Maybe you are starting to become a little bit more aware of your intuition, or, the way that you can sense the world around you in more than just the obvious, like, physical ways. And then the next thing that I got was jumping to conclusions. So I'm not sure if maybe that's something that you're up against. Maybe you feel like the people around you quite often jump to conclusions, and you don't have the opportunity to really like say your piece, or like set the record straight. Or it could be that maybe you have a habit of jumping to conclusions. This could be like in general, it could be in a specific relationship. But I get the sense that that's a bit of a struggle. So that might be something to be mindful of, however that resonates for you, if that kind of like it triggers anything in you. The next thing that I got was flowers, or like flower child, or a flower being connected to a specific person. So maybe there's someone in your life that you like often give flowers to. Maybe you associate them with flowers, or a specific flower. It is February, so it could also be like a Valentine's Day thing, but I feel like roses are like super overrated. That's just me. I don't know, Aquarius, maybe you'll agree with me because you tend to have a different outlook. But yeah, so it could be that, like, maybe there's someone on your mind that you associate with flowers, or that maybe they're like a flower, like beautiful, and they bring that kind of like beauty to your life. However that makes sense to you. The next thing that I got was everything is going to be all right. And so, yeah, it kind of goes along with like something good is coming. So maybe you've been going through a lot. Maybe things have been like a little bit uncertain, or you've had like a more difficult time connecting with hope, and you're kind of finally in a place where you're starting to feel like you can catch your breath, and that things are going to be okay. So whatever it was that was kind of up in the air or unresolved, or maybe you were just kind of like losing sleep about it, I kind of feel like maybe you're starting to come into a greater sense of peace, that things are going to work out. The next thing was missing friends. And so this could be like a person is missing from your life. Like maybe you've lost a friend, maybe you've lost someone close to you. That could be, a friendship dissolving, or an argument. That could be someone moving away. It could be someone passing away. And then obviously, with everything we're going through with COVID and lockdowns, that's put a great amount of distance between a lot of people, and their friends and family. So maybe it's just something that you've been really aware of. You're missing that presence of friends in your life for whatever reason, whatever is kind of keeping you apart at this time. So that might be something that you're trying to kind of rectify this month. The next thing that came was the month of August. I'm not sure if August specifically has some kind of importance to you, if it's associated with a specific person or date, or an event or celebration. It could also be something to keep in mind. Maybe something will kind of come up in the month of August that's yet to be seen. And then the next thing that came to mind was forgetting to go. And I don't know what that means. Like maybe forgetting to go to an appointment, maybe forgetting to go, I don't know, like pick up something that's neat. So I really didn't understand that. And do keep in mind, these are just channeled messages. They might be very specific for a small group of you, and they might not make sense for any of you, and that's totally fine. So I'm not sure if maybe being forgetful, or like forgetting to schedule things, or like not getting your reminders, like if there's something that you're missing there. And then the last thing was, it was kind of like, it was a location, and it had the word great, or no, great or grand. I think it was grand. So grand, for whatever reason, it was like Grand Ravine, or like grand. Yeah, ravine was the word that came to mind, but I was thinking like most oftentimes like a ravine is, so you may know like a place or a street like Grand Ravine. I don't necessarily think that it's an actual ravine, but the thing that I was focused on mostly was grand. So it's like a location with grand in the name. So like either like a city, a town, a business, a road, like that might have some significance. And I really couldn't I couldn't figure out what the last part was. So like maybe if that means something to you. And then the next thing that came in an association was Great Exuma, which I have no idea what that was. I've heard of it, but I had no idea. So I Googled it, and it's actually an island in the Bahamas. So maybe you're thinking about going to the Bahamas. I think that's where the swimming pigs are. Maybe that's something that you've joked about. Maybe it's a place that's on your bucket list. Maybe you're thinking about planning a beach vacation. But yeah, so I'm not sure if that has any significance to you, but those were the channeled messages that came through. I'd be very curious to see if that has any significance to any of you. So yeah, we'll get into your cards now. So Aquarius, your first card is Warrior Woman, and it says, have you answered your deepest calling? Your second card, Labradorite. Oh, I like that. Okay, so Labradorite. I'm going to use, this is actually a Labradorite, a little Labradorite heart. I'm going to leave that here. And my ring here is actually Labradorite. You can kind of see it's got this like really cool blue shine to it. Love Labradorite. I love that you got that too. So if that is of interest to you, if you're interested in crystals or stones, you don't have to be into the whole like metaphysical healing properties, even just for the sake of having it because it's beautiful. You can take a look, like maybe do some research on Labradorite. Maybe it's something that you might want to have for yourself. And then you've got Power of Attraction. Ooh, I like that. This is really cool energy for you, Aquarius, especially being in your birthday season. This is like this is going to be a really neat read. So with Warrior Woman here, this is all about having to face your fears, right? And having to like cut through fear, cut through the noise that's created and the distortion that's created in your perceptions that are like rooted in fear. And so you can see she has the sword of truth. And also air signs, so Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, which you are associated with the suit of swords. So this is also kind of like very much your energy. And so I don't know, maybe you've been going through a lot. Maybe you've been feeling like you've had to kind of like fight, like fight against your circumstances, fight against your fears, like fight to conquer, maybe uncomfortable situations that have been arising. Maybe there has been a need for you to start becoming more aware of your thoughts and perceptions and your beliefs, and how they are inspired by fear or how they might be limited by fear. Because sometimes it's not always the things that we're conscious about. Like obviously you can have conscious fears, like maybe I'm afraid of heights, or I'm afraid of like blood, or it could be anything like that that's like very apparent to us. But it can also be like really subtle, really subconscious things that we're not necessarily aware of. So it's like maybe, for example, if you have a fear of intimacy, you might think like, well, I love my significant other, or I love my family, and I want to have like good quality relationships. But when someone starts to open up to you or share on a deeper level, or someone asks you to meet them in that space, you might kind of like shut down and feel avoidant. And so that's how like maybe a fear of intimacy, a fear of vulnerability, maybe that's how that manifests. And you're not necessarily consciously aware of the fact that that's what you're feeling and that's what's inspiring your action. It's just like, it's kind of working under the surface. And so it looks like this month is going to be a really, really wonderful month for you to start kind of checking in with yourself and start to kind of question your beliefs a little bit, to figure out what is leading you, right? So like what is leading you to come to certain, well, and that might go to hand in hand with jumping to conclusions. So what is causing you to, hold on to a certain belief or hold on to a certain perspective? What is motivating you to make certain decisions? And it's kind of like looking at your fears and for what they are without without getting kind of like dragged down or feeling avoidant and needing to turn away. Because a lot of time we regard fear as something that's bad, or something that is a sign of weakness. And the thing is, fear usually comes up in relation to situations or experiences that make us feel uncomfortable. And quite often, the reason that we're uncomfortable is because it's something either meaningful or it's something that's important to us, whether we consciously realize it or not. And so we might have fears around it, and that we perceive as like weakness, but actually, in being able to recognize those fears and work through them, a lot of times the things that we're fearful about are actually, we can turn into strengths, or they're meant to be our strengths, or they're meant to play a large role. And that can be because of their importance and because of our connection to them that maybe we're a little bit hesitant to establish. Sometimes we just kind of protect ourselves by shutting off. And so either you've already been on a path where you're really starting to kind of confront your fears and work through them and like start claiming your power instead of being controlled by them, or that's something that is really going to be important this month, right? And it says, have you answered your deepest calling? And so that really speaks not just to fear like on the day-to-day, and this is like across the board. This can be, in terms of, like I said, intimacy and relationships. This can be in terms of your relationship with yourself, like your self-love and self-acceptance, especially when it comes to self-expression, and doing the things that are important to you, or following a path that feels right to you, whether that's like a job or, a house, or, it's like what you're aspiring for. And so it's basically saying, like, have you answered your deepest calling, right? Have you been ignoring the things that are calling to you, this inner truth, right? Have you been ignoring it or avoiding it? And if so, why? Because generally the things that we're avoiding, there is some amount of fear attached to it. And the thing is, courage can't exist without fear. So sometimes it can be difficult to connect with the courage that we need to face those fears and to see them for what they are, and to kind of remove the power that they hold over us, and heal those parts of ourselves. But it's like, we need that, right? Just because we're fearful doesn't mean that we're weak, doesn't mean that we don't have courage. If anything, it's a great sign that, we just need to start connecting with that courage within us. So with have you answered your deepest calling, it's basically like, what are the things that are the most important to you, right? What are the things that you feel the most drawn to, that you feel are going to be most fulfilling? And it's taking a look at your life and the life that you're living, and whether that aligns with whatever this deepest calling is. So are you holding yourself back from your potential? Are you holding yourself back from expression or connection? Are you holding yourself back from doing things that, are enjoyable? So it's like, it could be something creative, like maybe like it could be music, it could be art, it could be, connecting with more people who are on that, or in that kind of area, right? And being willing to connect with those energies if you don't already have them in your life. Because I get a sense of limitation, like, you might be focused on more practical things, and maybe that's become a comfort zone for you, and maybe it's time to kind of see, like, are there fears that are holding you back from really connecting with your truest self and following your heart, right? And that can be a scary thing to do, because sometimes in confronting those fears and coming to kind of that clarity for ourselves, it means that there will be things that are out of alignment. It could be a job, it could be just a belief system or an attitude, it could be a person or a relationship. So it's not always easy to do that work, but it's trusting that in really taking the time to align with yourself, that will benefit you, and it will also be reflected in your external environment when you start moving in that direction. So even if it feels a little bit scary, or even if it means that you need to start moving away from things that are aligned or aren't aligned, it's that is going to be worth it, right? That's kind of you're meant to do that, and to connect with your own personal truth. And like, so you might even have to fight for it. You might have to fight other people. You might have to fight to be heard, or just kind of start expressing yourself with more confidence. And maybe that will come from facing these fears. With Labradorite here, Labradorite is a very good stone. It's good for protection, but it's also really spiritual in nature. So this specifically ties to a lot of synchronicities in your life. And so it's telling you, especially this month, to be aware of anything that's synchronistic, to be aware of anything that like, oh, that's a funny coincidence. Like, so anything that's coming up, any patterns that are coming up, things that are repeating, things that are like a little bit, I don't know, mystical, right? Because this is about believing in the magic of life, believing that there's so much more than what the eye can see, and that life isn't all just about like practical, living in the physical world and going by what we can see. It's the fact that we have access to so much more. Like we can pick up on other people's energy. Sometimes we can pick up on their thoughts and their feelings. And like we have the ability to connect with a level of awareness that isn't visible to the eye, right? And it can't necessarily be explained. And that's kind of the magic of, intuition, and, following your own gut feeling. And it's basically saying, like, if you're having a hard time connecting with yourself on that level, if you're having a hard time believing in kind of like the magic of how things can unfold, start paying attention to anything that's synchronistic. So it could be something as simple as like you think of someone and then they message you, or like maybe you know what somebody is going to say before they say it. Maybe you think to yourself like, oh, hey, like I miss this person. I would really love to reconnect with them. And then like either they message you, or like, they pop up on your social media or whatever. It could be like, oh, this is a hobby that I'd like to start, or something that I used to do that I like to pick back up again. And then like thinking that to yourself, and then like maybe that starts showing up in your external environment. So anything like that. It can even be repeating numbers. It could be, song lyrics that are meaningful in the moment. Like there are so many ways that those like little synchronistic gems are dropped for us. And it's trusting that this month, if you start paying attention to those synchronicities, those are deeply connected to you and like your own alignment, your own like personal calling. And it's kind of like those are going to be little points of validation for you to help you start either like developing or trusting your own inner compass. Because I feel like maybe you really do value like logic and just being like grounded and rational. Maybe you're afraid of connecting with spirituality, or like opening up to the fact that like that is real and that those kinds of synchronicities can mean something. Maybe you're afraid that people are going to not take you seriously or think that you're weird, or like I feel like there's some kind of resistance to spirituality or spiritual practice, or the belief that there is something bigger, the belief that we're able to sense and know things accurately without having a real like explanation or real proof. So it's kind of like you might find this month that the universe, or however you want to approach and believe in it, whatever works for you, but it's trying to validate your experiences, and it's trying to get you to trust that you can believe in something bigger and still be a perfectly grounded, practical person. Like you don't have to sacrifice your logic and like a grounded approach to life in order to believe in something bigger and the power of your own energy. And and I think it's knowing that when those synchronistic things start happening, take that not only as evidence that this is an important part of your path and something that you're meant to align with, and to kind of honor that energy, maybe lean into it, right, and see where it goes. But it's also meant to help you trust that that is a real thing, that's something real that you can connect with. And it seems like you're being guided to connect with more of that, and that's going to be helpful as you continue along your path and try to kind of move toward that deeper level of fulfillment, and like especially when you're working through acknowledging or releasing fear. And with this card here, the power of attraction, it's basically saying like, it's encouraging you to be more open-minded, right? To be more open-minded about the way that life can unfold, the things that are available to you, whether you can fathom them or not, whether they seem feasible or not, whether you can understand how that might happen or not. It's really encouraging you to step out of that really like logical mindset where it's like, there's a limited number of ways to make things happen, or you can only get to your end goal if you follow like A, B, C, D. It's really just encouraging you to let go of anything that's limiting and anything that might keep you from connecting with the opportunity that's out there. So it's like you kind of have to believe in the magic of how things can happen, and the fact that like things can align and things can be, sometimes things will just fall into your lap, right? And it's recognizing that when that kind of synchronicity happens, like when you think of something and then it appears in your reality, it's like you have the ability, right? You have the ability to create whatever you want to create and to draw that into you, to draw in the people and the experiences and the opportunities that are going to help you experience whatever it is that you want to experience, create whatever you're trying to create or manifest. So this could be like a partnership, a relationship, a friendship. It could be an opportunity for learning or development. It could be a job or a house. So it's like whatever it is that you're trying to create, not getting caught up in your own opinions about it. And like your own fears and your own limiting beliefs, because it's basically saying like the universe has a level of intelligence that's greater than what we can generate from our own logical mind. And we have the opportunity to connect with that on a spiritual level and to recognize the presence of that in our lives through synchronicities, even if you're not really into like the spiritual side of things. And so it's kind of like part of the reason those synchronicities are happening is that you are attracting that. You have the ability. So your focus and your intention and doing the work to develop yourself and to come to a deeper level of understanding of what it is that you want out of life and to recognize those things, like that's the first step in bringing them to you, right? And so you have the power to do whatever it is. And it's just really it's going to require you to let go of that kind of like critical mind, where you're trying to like analyze how things are going to go, because this is basically saying like you're not going to be able to predict it, you're not going to be able to control it. You're really going to have to be willing to be open to any number of possibilities and to be able to trust that without getting too logical and without overthinking it, that you are going to be able to feel your way through it. That could be based on emotion, that could be based on intuition, could be based on synchronicities and just at your core knowing what's best for you. But it's really difficult to connect with that possibility and really start bringing in all of these wonderful things if you're in a place where you're limiting yourself, right? Or maybe you've told yourself like, no, I can't have that, that's not for me, or like that wouldn't be practical, or like this kind of person would never be open to me, or it's like I can't have this kind of job because I need to be like strictly in this line of work, or whatever the case is. If what you're wanting is to connect with something that's really going to be great, like fulfilling and meaningful, and if you've had something on your mind that you want to start moving toward, like whatever your big goals are, you can achieve them. And you would be surprised if you kind of let go of your beliefs about how or if you can achieve them. Then you can really just start opening up to the opportunity. So the people around you, right? So maybe you're closed off to specific people. Maybe you kind of look at them and you're like, nope, that person doesn't align with like what I believe. They're like too out there, so I'm not going to talk to them, or like they don't have any value. And it's kind of like you can't write people off, and like maybe the people and the things that you're avoiding, it's attached to some kind of fear. And maybe that fear is like this ego, the set of beliefs that you're kind of clinging to that could possibly be rooted in fear. And you might think that like you have to stay in that place to achieve whatever your goals are. And this is saying like, well, there's a whole lot more that you're not seeing. There's a whole lot of opportunity, and it really just takes you kind of dropping the critical mindset, continuing that healing work, and paying attention to the synchronicities so that you can connect with opportunities as they come in, and you can be willing to kind of experience life as you move through it a little bit more organically. Because you really do have the ability to draw it in, and the only thing that's going to stand in your way is you, really. So I'm just going to start, we'll pull some tarot cards for you. So your first card is the Nine of Pentacles, and that came out in reverse, so we will read that in reverse. Okay. Let's see. Oops. Okay, you've got 2 cards for your next. So, first we have the Magician, and then the Wheel of Fortune. Right, let's see. And you have the Ace of Wands, and we'll get one more. Ooh, the Empress. And at the bottom of the deck, we have the Four of Wands. Wow, okay. This is really interesting energy, Aquarius. You have 3 major arcana here right now, and they're like, they are very spiritual in nature. It's really kind of cool. So I kind of sense that right now, this doesn't have to be money and career, but it could just be like whatever it is you're trying to create. It might be more focused in the physical world, like physical stability, like a house, a home. It could be money. It could be like a relationship that has the potential to lead to a happy home and a happy family life. So whatever that is for you, I kind of feel like you might have some blocks around it, like blocks around, you know, if you can attract that, how you can attract that, if, you know, if it's in the cards for you, if you have settled in the past, or maybe you have a sense that you need to settle just for the sake of stability. Maybe that's something that you're aware of already and that you're working through. But I kind of sense that you're in a place where it's kind of like, maybe you're starting to realize that in the past you've been limited. And the sense that I get is like, I don't think you want to settle. You might be tempted to settle, or you might have been tempted to settle in the past, and you realize that in settling for something that didn't quite align and wasn't quite in alignment with your deepest calling, that as much as it might have been stable, like, and that could be just like materially or financially, it was kind of suffocating you a little bit. It was kind of disconnecting you from hope and, you know, maybe the opportunity to live a more fulfilling life, because this could have a really this could really have a lot to do with relationships too, because the Four of Wands is here at the bottom of the deck, and a lot of times, like, that's a card of like really you know, seriously committed relationships. Sometimes it's marriage, sometimes it's a wedding, sometimes on a spiritual level it could be like a twin flame, like, so somebody that you really feel like you're meant to be with. And that's like a more spiritual kind of thing. So this kind of energy, this twin flame energy, that might be something, if the concept or the word twin flame, you're kind of like, oh, what's that? That might be something that you want to research, because that might be a partnership that you're in. It might be a partnership that you're looking for. Yeah, it might resonate for you. Or it might be the type of relationship that you're trying to call in. But this is like, a lot of times those kinds of relationships are ones where it's like, there is something unique about it. There is something like highly energetic. There's something palpable about your interactions with someone. And it can feel like there's a deeper level of connection or familiarity, like you've already met them before, or you already know them. You feel like a sense of comfort with them. There's a lot of alignment, but it's also like it can almost feel like there's like an electrical charge between the two of you. And it's not just in like a lust kind of way. It's not just in like superficial chemistry and, you know, like the that kind of like beginning stage of a relationship. It's something maybe like you can feel it in your bones. Like it's something that can be really confusing if you experience it. It can be kind of scary. And it can be difficult to understand, especially if you don't understand that it's a real thing. So perhaps there's someone that you're with now, or perhaps someone that's like on your radar. You might be coming into contact with them. Perhaps there's someone that you have that kind of like spark with, and that you know, like there's something there, like there's something important about this person. There's something that I'm drawn to about this person. I can't understand why, or like understanding that there could be a deeper level of connection. That might be something that you're looking for and aware of and that you've embraced, or it might be something that's causing you to shut down and like close off from that person, just because like if you were to interact with that person, it might require a deeper level of connection that maybe you're not ready for yet. But yeah, I kind of get the sense that it's like either you know this already, or maybe this is something that you're coming into, but it's like, especially in a romantic sense, if you're just settling for the sake of stability, like financial stability, it might be time to kind of like take stock of what's important to you, and like, is that baseline stability going to be able to make up for everything else that you might be sacrificing, or the other areas where you might not be completely fulfilled? Because the way that I see it is, it looks like either you've come into contact with somebody that has the potential for you to like have it all. You can have that material stability, but then you can also have like, you know, the happiness and fulfillment on an emotional level. Like it's kind of like the full picture without settling. So maybe you're trying to kind of let go of your blocks, either blocks around money and material stability and abundance, or maybe you've been in a place of lack where you're trying to cultivate more of that. But I don't know, whatever that is for you, but I get the sense of like, it'll probably be important for you to make sure that you're really aligning with your heart. If you want to live a fulfilling, heart-centered life, it's making sure you're not sacrificing the things that are really truly meaningful and fulfilling to you, or opportunities for those, just for the sake of like your material stability. And of course, like we need jobs, we need money, we need to live in the world. I'm not saying that like you should like not care about those things, but it could even just be finding a better balance and letting go of anything that's blocking you. That might be what's blocking you from connecting with yourself, right? Because for that to come out reversed, it's like there's some kind of resistance related to that, like even though it's what you want. And so your challenge is the Magician and the Wheel of Fortune came out side by side. And the funny thing is, so this is card number 1, this is number 10. So 10 is a significant number in terms of numerology. This is like a card of beginning, number 1. This is a card of ending, number 10. And then also, but like 1 plus 0 reduces to 1. So these are both, you can technically regard these both as ones as well. And so this is telling me that you are kind of at the beginning of a path that like, it could be more spiritual in nature. Maybe you're trying to connect with that. Maybe you're just trying to connect more deeply with yourself and trying to find or create more like fulfillment in your life. But the other neat thing is like the Magician is a card of being able to harness all of your strengths and balance them in such a way that you can create and manifest in the world around you. And so it's like having stability and confidence and vision, and knowing that you have all of the tools to create or to bring into your experience whatever it is that you want. And really, yeah, the only thing that's going to block you from recognizing and harnessing that energy is like fear, any kind of fear and resistance, limiting beliefs. And it could be even, that you've entangled yourself currently or in the past in situations that keep you from being able to connect with that, or people that are, you know, not open-minded to it, or maybe they don't believe in you and they're putting you down. So it's like you have the ability to create anything that you want. And like, this is like it is a very spiritual card, whether you're consciously spiritual or not. It's basically saying like, you have the ability to manifest, right? And this goes really well with law of attraction. And the fact that it's coming up as a challenge along with this Wheel of Fortune, the Wheel of Fortune is all about kind of like intention. You know, it's important for us to be aware of what we're trying to create. You kind of have to have a vision for yourself in order to be able to manifest that, because there does have to be a certain amount of focus on what it is that you want. But beyond a certain point, like when you have your intention and your focus and your clarity, and you're willing to kind of start taking action, when you start taking action in the world around you, that begins the process of manifestation. That sets the wheel in motion. But you don't have a control over how whatever it is that you want is going to manifest. So it's not really up to you to decide. It's not up to you to control. So it's basically saying, like, if you want to create and manifest something, you have to, take the first step in setting this wheel in motion, but then you have to be open to whatever comes to you, because you don't necessarily know. It could be a person, it could be a job, it could be an experience, it could be a trip, it could be something that comes up. So it's like, you know, they say ask and you shall receive. So if you are asking for something, right? Even if you believe in like angels, spirits, guides, if you ask for guidance, if you ask for support or help doing a certain thing, then it's also about being willing to recognize that help can come in any form. It might not come in the way that we prefer or we ask for, but we have to be open to whatever form it shows up in. We have to be willing to accept and connect with it and to take whatever we can. And so it's basically saying, like, you might have resistance not only to your ability to manifest. Maybe you've been trying and it hasn't been working out in the past, or maybe you're in an opportunity now where things are starting to manifest for you. You feel like you're starting to bring things in to your life, and maybe you're struggling. You're struggling with the belief that you can keep going, or that maybe you've manifested something important to you, and maybe you're working on the next thing, and you have some doubt as to whether you can do it or not. And this is basically saying, like, you can, right? It's kind of like embracing the chance, and like it's a game of chance, embracing the odds, right? Like not trying to analyze too heavily, but just being able to flow with it and being open to the people, the places, the situations that come into your life, especially anything that you feel like an energetic alignment with, an attraction to, a pull to, right? It's not denying yourself from recognizing that or connecting with that energy, not shutting off from it for whatever reason. So maybe there is already a person, a place, a thing, someone that has sparked something in you, something that feels important, that you've been denying. And so it's basically saying, like, if that pops up and that is meant to help you connect, and this can be synchronicity as well. So those things that are showing up in your life, like if you think of someone and they pop up, or you think of something and it's like really like it's in your external environment. If you are not willing to be open to it, then it's like, are you really willing to manifest? Are you really committed to it, right? Because and it goes hand in hand with power of attraction. You have the power to create and draw whatever it is that you want to you. You just have to be open to like how that might happen and what it might look like, and really open yourself up to the variety of experiences and connections that you can have, with the trust that if that's like a synchronistic thing that's coming into your life, that there's a purpose for it. And if you allow yourself to connect with it and experience it, you are going to learn what you need to learn from it. It's going to advance you along your path. It's going to get you closer to your manifestation. And you can't know exactly how, you just have to be open. So you have to trust. And, you know, in the meantime, it's not necessarily going to manifest immediately. It might be something that like you can't even possibly fathom, or something that seems so far off that it's like it will never happen, or it doesn't make sense. It doesn't matter if it doesn't make sense logically. If on an energetic level it does, and if it's showing up and it's synchronistic, then you just have to trust that yes, there is something there. Yes, there's something of value. You can't possibly know how or when, but honor it, allow it space in your life. And in the meantime, you know, just give it time to blossom, right? Give it time to take shape. Trust that it will. And then in the meantime, don't worry about it. Don't be fearful of it. Don't try to force it. Just, that's it. Like, you kind of have to drop your resistance. And your recommended action, your advice is to really kind of like step into your passion, to recognize that you have the ability. If you're manifesting, if you're creating, if you're drawing something or someone meaningful and fulfilling into your life, you have the ability to set the tone for what that's going to be like. And the best way to ensure that it's going to be something really aligned is to connect with yourself and the things that you're passionate about, the things that light you up, the things that inspire you, the things that allow you to like express yourself. That could be creatively, that could be emotionally, that could lead to like, you know, a greater level of like social interaction and community. It could be anything. So whatever this thought, whatever this idea is, whatever this inspiration is, it's recognizing it as a beautiful opportunity to start creating and moving towards something good. Because here's the Ace of Wands and this is the Four of Wands. So if you want this like celebratory kind of like relationship, and it could be like a marriage, maybe that's what's on your mind. And it's like, you have to start with the flame, right? So it's kind of like, you're not going to have a relationship with, you know, that's passionate and fulfilling. If this is a relationship, it could be a job, it could be anything else, but you're not going to have something that's like passionate and fulfilling if you don't start in that place. Or if there is a spark and you don't feed it, you don't fan it to allow it to become a flame, it's like, how are you going to get to this Four of Wands, right? So yeah, that's interesting. And also like these two together, like 1 and 1 would be like, you could be like 11, or like 10 and 1 is 11. The Labradorite, 9 plus 2, that equals 11. 4 of Wands, so there's like 4 wands side by side, and that usually translates to 11, 11. 11, 11 is like often like the twin flames, or like that divine partnership. So 1111, or the number 11, could also be significant to you this month. That might be one of your synchronicities. So that's something to keep in mind. And then here overall for the month is the Empress. And so it's kind of like, there is an opportunity for you to really connect with abundance, the opportunity for abundance, the opportunity to create something beautiful and something that is going to be grounded and wholesome and loving, right? Something that intuitively is reflective of you and who you are on the inside and what matters to you. And it's like, yeah, like obviously she's pregnant here, right? So it could be a literal pregnancy or a child, but it's kind of like, you know, she's got the world here. So there's like a world of opportunity for you to connect with, and like you can bring anything into your existence, whether it's like a creative endeavor, whether it's a relationship, a job. And yeah, it's just kind of like maybe being willing to embrace a little bit of that spirituality. And like I said, so like the Empress, she, you know, she is spiritual in nature. As much as she is connected to the earth, she's like a Mother Earth kind of figure. So like, you know, nature might be something that's really important to you. But, you know, here she is under the light of the full moon, which like that brings everything to light, and it's kind of like completion. And so you can be practical, you can be grounded, you can be stable, you can be enjoying your life in the physical world and have a connection to your intuition and your emotions, and have a connection to spirituality, be open to synchronicities, and to let your heart guide the way. Because it's kind of like this month almost seems like it's a wake-up call. It's like a wake-up call to yourself, to the things that you're yearning for, the ways that you're standing in your own way, and to connect with your intuition. So under the 9 of Pentacles, you have Death, and that is also in reverse, which is interesting. Under the Magician, we have the 10 of Wands. Let's see what else for the Wheel. Okay, under the Wheel, we have the 6 of Pentacles. Ace of Wands is the 10 of Cups. And let's see finally for the Empress. So the Empress, we have the Daughter of Cups. And also you had the 5 of Cups come out. Oh, and at the bottom of the deck, you have the Sun. Wow. Okay. Yeah. So I think quite possibly what has been motivating you to date is like your happiness. You want to feel happy. You want to feel joyful. You want to feel fulfilled. You want to have reason for celebration. You might want to find your person, the person that you can actually like settle down with and, establish a life with. This doesn't have to be marriage. It can be a spiritual union, and it doesn't even have to be like a union or commitment. Like if you are in like a loving relationship that's aligned, like you don't have to put that kind of label, make it official in that way, right? Because what's most important is those two people are showing up together. But yeah, so it's like maybe without knowing what a twin flame partnership is, maybe that's exactly what you've been trying to like manifest, because that's your ultimate happiness. This is happiness and joy. And I think like that's, and like I said, it doesn't have to be a relationship. It could be a job. It could be any form of abundance. But yeah, I think that like whatever it is that you've been wanting, whatever has been motivating you to date, you can get there, right? You can get there. It's just a matter of like focusing, because the Nine of Pentacles reversed and with the death here, death is about endings, right? So either there is something that has recently ended that maybe you're feeling a little bit resistant to, maybe you're not willing to let it go. That could be a person, it could be a job that you don't really like, you haven't really maybe taken the time to process it. Maybe like you're attached to the material stability or the material abundance that was associated with whatever that like loss or that ending was. This could be that like maybe you're in a position where you recognize that something has to end. Maybe you have to leave your career. Maybe you have to leave the job or something that brings you abundance. Maybe you have to leave the person that is kind of providing you your stability because it's not aligning. So whatever that is for you, I think it's really important to just see like, how are you tied to the past, or how are you tied to material abundance in ways that is maybe preventing you from connecting with what you truly want, with what feels fulfilling to you. So it's like kind of being willing to get out of that practical, logical mind space and make more room for your dreams and your desires. So with the 10 of Wands here under the Magician, it's kind of like maybe you're just feeling really tired and worn out. Like it's been a long road here and you're feeling heavy. You're carrying a lot of weight. This could be like the burden of your experiences to date. Maybe you're feeling like a little bit jaded and overburdened, like you've got too much weighing you down and you can't possibly get to where you want to go, or you feel like it's going to be really hard, or it has been really hard. Or maybe you're carrying the weight of other people, whether it's people that you're working with or for. It could be family members, it could be a significant other. Maybe, yeah. So maybe it's just like your energy is so drained because you're carrying a bunch of things that aren't serving you and a bunch of things that aren't necessarily yours. And it's keeping you from really connecting with your power to manifest something that's important to you. Because if you feel like you don't have time and energy to connect with yourself and the things that make you passionate, or like you're at the end of your rope, that could be kind of like killing your vibe a little bit and preventing you from really stepping into your power to create and to draw and attract those things, those people, those experiences that you really want to have, right? And it's funny here because it's like you've got a 10 and a 1 again. And so it's basically saying like whatever this ending is that has happened or needed to happen, and it could be like an old version of yourself that you need to let go of and you need to step into a new energy. It's kind of saying like you have to embrace this ending. You have to understand its significance. You have to learn whatever it is to be learned and release whatever is not serving you, anything that's holding you back, anything that's feeding fear or limiting beliefs. And, take the lesson, take whatever positives you can, use that on your path forward and be able to step into this energy of creation. And with the 6 of Pentacles being here under the wheel, the 6 of Pentacles is usually about a time of harvest. So maybe you've planted some seeds, maybe you've started to do the work, or you've been like kind of like on your path. And this could be a time where you're seeing results, either from the intentions that you set, the goals that you've been working toward. Maybe you are starting to experience a certain level of abundance or stability, either emotionally, in a relationship, financially. This is a lot of times finance and career. So it's like maybe you do have a certain level of stability, and it's about celebrating, right? It's about the time of harvest. It's about taking time to recognize the work that we've done to get here, you know, the fruits of our labor, being able to enjoy them, being able to share them with others, but then like not stopping, right? So just because you've been able to harvest or like reap the reward of whatever it is you've been working on, it doesn't mean your work is done, right? Because then it's kind of like you have to continue. That's like usually there's a lot of work because you're gonna plant another seed and that's gonna grow. And so it's kind of like, even after the harvest, it's like you still have to remove like the old, dead and dying crops, and you're gonna have to plow the field again, and like you're gonna go through winter, right, after that. And so it's like you might be feeling tempted to just kind of like stay in this place where you feel like stable, and you've kind of had a little bit of success, or you've got a little bit of stability, and maybe you're just tempted to stay in that place, and in doing so and resisting anything outside of that, you might be kind of blocking your blessings from coming in, or blocking yourself from being open to new experiences, because I see like, you know, connecting with those synchronicities and being aware of them, and like really just kind of like starting to lean in and be more open to life and the people, places, things, experiences around you. It's only going to amplify your ability to attract what you want and to clear out what you don't, and to like, you know, continue manifesting abundance in all of its forms. And with the Ace of Wands here, this is with it being your advice, right? And just kind of like step into that passion and allow that idea to guide you, or that inspiration to guide you. The 10 of Cups here, like that is so the 9 of Cups is like the wish card. So it's like making a wish, believing in the magic of the universe, believing in the fact that like you can dream big and you can bring those dreams into reality, and allowing yourself to think like, if I could do anything, if I could, you know, if I could accomplish anything, what would it be, right? Allowing yourself to dream in the first place, and then being willing to believe that that can manifest for you. The 10 of Cups is the result of that. So it's like wish fulfillment. It is the be all end all. It is that really happy, fulfilling, it can be like an emotionally deep experience of life, connection to life, connection to spirit and spirituality, connection to the people in your life. It can be really fulfilling relationships. It can be a family, children, like whatever this is for you, right? Whatever this ultimate wish and happiness is, this inspiration, this idea, and allowing that opportunity to take hold and being open to how that might manifest for you, or how it might show up. It really is possible. Like your dreams are all like, they will come true. You just have to be open-minded. You have to be willing to connect with it and not like logic or like force your way through it, right? And then with the Daughter of Cups and the 5 of Cups under the Empress, it's really saying like this month, there may be someone in your experience, like there could be someone coming in who or that you've already connected with, and maybe it's just a relationship that deepens, that is going to be more emotionally connected and fulfilling. Maybe somebody who can help you with your healing, maybe someone who can help you connect with this energy even more, or maybe just someone who's going to make you feel good and loved, and it's going to bring in more of that positive energy to help you get out of fear. So this could be a person, it could just be an energy, but it's very much like having that emotional stability, that emotional fulfillment, and having the ability to step out of your comfort zone and face your fears without worry that your emotions are going to like get so out of control that it's going to break you. Because sometimes that's our fear. Not that we can't handle whatever's coming our way, but it's like maybe we can't handle the emotions that come up. So that speaks really well to this. And like there's an opportunity for you to release all that sense of lack, you know? So if you've been feeling like limited, or, you know, in the past things haven't worked out and you've got fears about your ability to kind of connect with that really deep, fulfilling level of happiness, or you're feeling a little bit pessimistic or dragged down, this might be a really good month for you to do that healing and to really start letting go of that energy. And because you can create something like that's going to be abundant. Or you might be connecting with somebody who is like a great manifestor. Maybe somebody who's already started manifesting, you know, or, you know, a relationship that can help you. But yeah, this is really interesting. And it's very complex. I get the sense that you're very complex, either like mentally, emotionally, maybe you've had a lot going on. I'm just going to pull you some affirmations and we'll tie things up because this reading is getting a little on the long side. So, in the midst of a meltdown, I breathe through the discomfort and come out the other side. All right. So yes, that speaks to being able to handle difficult emotions and fears and not to give in to them. So being aware of your body, being aware of your breath, doing breath work, just kind of like taking time to center and ground yourself if you're feeling like really like you're struggling, because you will get through it. And I think it's important not to block yourself because this wheel is always spinning and you're always connecting with different things. You don't want to stagnate yourself because you're going to miss opportunities. Well, not necessarily miss, but you might not align with opportunities as they come up and it might kind of stunt your progress. I can think my way out of fear. So it's remembering that our fears really are just thoughts. They're thoughts that are conditioned, beliefs that are conditioned, either from our experiences, our upbringing, from from society in general, and they don't necessarily resonate with you. They're not necessarily yours. So you have power over what you think. And if you recognize your fears as just thoughts, not reality, then you can kind of take time, use that strength of your mind and logic and apply it to something good, right? So once you realize that your fears, as much as they're in your mind, aren't necessarily rational, and you don't have to be rational about how you resolve this fear and think your way through it, but instead of connecting with something fearful and limiting, you can connect with something expansive. Because if your thoughts are not real, they're real to you, but they're not necessarily like true, especially fear. Fear is usually a distortion. So connect with something that feels good and makes you feel good and is going to be empowering, right? I pray before I pay. That's an interesting one. So maybe just being willing to connect more with spirituality. This could have to do with like gratitude. So gratitude for your money and your abundance before you actually are spending your money, to bring your conscious awareness to, the value of money, the value of the things that you're buying. So maybe you can make spending and money like a spiritual practice, especially if you are a relatively practical person. This could also be like praying and being aware of what you want and what's important to you and what you want to focus on before you get yourself into a position where you're going to be like in a deficit or holding yourself back. I don't know, that however that applies to you. Your last one, sometimes no is the most loving response. All right. So especially if you're in a situation, if there's a habit that you're trying to break out of, if there is opportunity that you're trying to connect with, fear that you're trying to let go of, and that is reinforced by the people around you, the relationships around you, whether it's a boss, a coworker, a significant other, a friend, family member. Sometimes it's about setting boundaries with those people so they're not preventing you from connecting with whatever it is that you're meant to heal. So setting boundaries, saying no, being aware of your own energy and resources, and just being reasonable about what you can or are feeling like you want to accomplish. Sometimes we can guilt ourselves about saying no because we feel like we need to keep other people happy. And so, yeah, sometimes saying no is the most loving response, because sometimes people, even if they're asking for your help, sometimes it's more important that they learn to do those things for themselves, or sometimes it's more important for you to protect your energy, especially if your cup is not feeling particularly full. So yeah, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to put yourself first, especially when you're going through all of this energy, because it does seem like there's a huge amount of transformation and like release and healing and like connection, right? It's kind of like there's the possibility for this door to open to like possibility that you never could have imagined, and for your mind to just be a little bit more open and flexible. And I think that's really beautiful. So I hope this reading resonated for you. I hope it was helpful, Aquarius. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to like and share with anyone you feel like might be interested. Definitely leave me a comment and let me know if or what resonated for you. You can also hop over to my channel at Bright Soul Collective Tarot, check out my other videos, and subscribe to my channel to have notifications and access to my new videos as they come out. And in the meantime, Aquarius, thank you so much for being here. I know it's been a long reading. It's been an absolute pleasure to read for you. I am wishing you all the very best throughout the remainder of your birthday season. I look forward to reading for you again, and in the meantime, I'm wishing you all the very best.